Greetings from Stphen Publishing Group, and welcome to Stphen Moments. I'm Dr. Stphen Pidgeon, and today I'm going to be discussing with you a passage that is found in the Stphen that has drawn some controversy. And we are greatly blessed by this controversy because it really allows us to set forth the entirety, if you will, the summation of the doctrine that is found in sacred scripture, really beginning in Genesis 1:1 and working its way through the end of the book of Kesion or Revelation. And that is the language set forth in the Sefer Philippim or Philippians. And in particular, we're talking about in chapter 2, verses 10 and 11, where in the Sefer it is written as follows: that at the name of Yahusha, every knee should bow, of things in heaven and of things in earth and things under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Yahuah is Yahusha HaMashiach, to the glory of Yah the Father. And so this passage, we believe, is really the only way that this passage can be properly set forth, and really the only way that the passage can be actually properly understood. And I'll give you some summations why. Let's take a look at the passage found originally in Yeshayahu, that is to say Isaiah 45, verses 20 through 25. Isaiah chapter 45, verses 20 through 25. Assemble yourselves and come, draw near together, ye that are escaped of the nations. They have no knowledge, that set up at the wood of their graven image, and pray to an El that cannot save. Tell ye and bring them near, yea, let them take counsel together. Who has declared this from ancient time? Who has told it from that time? Have not I Yahuah? And there is no Elohim besides me, a just El and a Savior, and there is none beside me. Look to me, and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth. For I am El, and there is none else. I have sworn by myself, the word is gone out of my mouth in righteousness, and shall not return, that to me every knee shall bow, and every tongue shall swear. Surely shall one say, in Yahuah I have righteousness and strength. Even to him shall men come, and all that are incensed against him shall be ashamed. In Yahuah shall all the seed of Israel be justified, and shall glory. Well, it's a very interesting statement, a comprehensive statement. I would even say a flat-footed statement. And when you understand that flat-footed statement, it draws immediately to the controversy. Who is Yahusha? Who is Yahusha that every knee should bow? If not Yahuah? Of course, there is only one answer, given what we find in Mark 12, 28, 29, Shema Yisrael, Yahuah Eloheinu Yahuah Echad, one. Yahuah is one. And when we understand that, then we have to understand that there's only one to whom every knee shall bow, and only one that every person shall confess. Therefore, it is conclusory, actually mandatory, that Yahuah is Yahusha HaMashiach. Now let's take a look at Romaim, in chapter 14, verses 4 through 13. Who are you that judge another man's servant? To his own master he stands or falls, yea, he shall be held up, for Yahuah is able to make him stand. One man esteems one day above another, another esteems every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. He that regards the day, regards it to Yahuah, and he that regards not the day, to Yahuah he does not regard it. He that eats, eats to Yahuah, for he gives Yahuah thanks, and he that eats not, to Yahuah he eats not, and gives Yahuah thanks. For none of us lives to himself, and no man dies to himself. For whether we live to Yahuah, and whether we die to Yahuah. Whether we live therefore or die, we are Yahuah's. For to this end, HaMashiach both died and rose and revived, that he might be Yahuah, both of the dead and the living. But why do you judge your brother? Or why do you set it not your brother? For we shall all stand before the judgment seat of HaMashiach. For it is written, As I live, says Yahuah, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to Yahuah. So then every one of us shall give account of himself to Yahuah. Let us therefore not judge one another anymore, but judge this rather, that no man put a stumbling block or an occasion to fall in his brother's way. Well, here once again, we have this concept of Shaul telling us that every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess Yahuah. Totally consistent with what is being said in Yeshayahu 45 or in Isaiah 45. So here we have the claim in Paul that Hamashiach died, rose, and revived that he might be Yahuah. Using symbolic logic, the obvious question is that Hamashiach, does he equal Yahuah? Nonetheless, we have a restatement of the proposition first given in Yeshayahu. As I live, says Yahuah, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to Yahuah. Okay, now, we looked pretty considerably at the Greek. And of course, people take a look at the Greek, and they tend to take on, shall we say, a linear mindset. And we talked a little bit about this in the last video, that to have a linear mindset to say A, therefore not B. And which is not necessarily the case, particularly in the unfolding onion, that is the concept of Hebrew. But even Greek has a concept of an unfolding onion. In other words, it's not as linear as you might think. And so one of the big questions is that you have in the Greek, you have this phrase, Oti Kyrios Isus Christos. Okay? So there's no is found between Kyrios and Isus Christos. Kyrios Isus Christos. Okay, and so the question is, of course, what does this idea of Kyrios mean? Now, some people say, well, Kyrios is Lord and Theos is God. Well, you know, look, that's been the standard interpretation of those terms when they're interpreted from the Greek. But if you look at the Thayer's lexicon and other Greek lexicons, you'll find out that the word Kyrios, first of all, means having the authority or power, or being the possessor and owner of the authority and the power. It's a bit different than just saying, oh, Kyrios, therefore Adonai, or therefore Lord. No, it doesn't work that way. And it's the same thing really with Theos. So to try to assign these words a very simplistic translation is, in my view, simplistic and does not give full credence to the measure of the language. And in particular, we look at this idea that Kyrios here is talking about the authority and power given to Yahusha HaMashiach. That authority and power means Yahuah. Wherefore Yahuah, and in Philippians, now if we go back to chapter 2, beginning in verse 9, wherefore Yahuah has highly exalted him and given him a name which is above every name. Well, what is the name above every name? Yahuah. Yod, He, Vav, He. However, in Yahusha, not Yeshua, not Yahshua, not Yahushua, but Yahusha, Yod, He, Vav, Shin, Ayin, Yahusha, that name is the one to which every knee. So in verse 10 it says that at the name of Yahusha, every knee should bow, of things in heaven, of things in earth, and things under the earth. Well, if every knee is bowing to Yahuah, as Saul or Shaul iterated earlier in Romans, if every knee shall bow to Yahuah as iterated in Yeshayahu, you must necessarily conclude one of two things. Either one, Paul is lying like a rug here in Philippians 2, or Yahuah is Yahusha HaMashiach. Now, he goes on to say in verse 11, and that every tongue should confess that Yahuah, that is the power and the authority, is Yahusha HaMashiach to the glory of Yah the Father. So you see that we have two witnesses leading up to this conclusion, and we have a conclusion that is warranted in the Greek. Is there any further evidence of this? Well, sure there is. There's all kinds of evidence of this. You know, in the beginning was the Word, the Logos, and the Word was with Elohim. That's what it says. And then it goes on to say, the Word was Elohim. Now, again, the word there for Elohim is theos. If we were to translate it as the typical English translators did and said God, okay, that might work, although God is really a derived form of a word from a habit that basically went through the European tribes and doesn't appear in the Hebrew and really doesn't appear in the Greek. What appears in the Greek there is theos. So let us say that we translated that as Yahuah instead of Elohim. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Yahuah, and the Word was Yahuah. He was with Yahuah in the beginning. Through him all things were made. And that Word was made flesh and tabernacled among us. Well, there's only one word that was made flesh. There's only one making of the flesh of the word of Yah, and this is Yahusha. Therefore, the word was made flesh, the word was one, the word was Yahuah. Yahuah is consistently Yahusha HaMashiach. Now, in John, Yahuchanan, the Gospel, the Besarot, or the Besarah, Yahuchanan, the Gospel of John in chapter 19, verses 18 through 22, well, we have something that was very interesting that happened, right? Where they crucified him and the two other with him on either side one, and Yahusha in the midst, and Pilate wrote a title and put it on the cross. Now, I want to try to make it clear. He didn't put the title up there in Aramaic. Go and read it. He put the title up in Latin, Greek, and Hebrew. Now, for all of you that think the gospel was written in Aramaic, which is another word for Syrian, what makes you think that the people in the Holy Land were speaking Syrian instead of speaking Hebrew? In fact, if you go back and you look at the numerous witnesses to the period of time, including Philo and Origen and Clement and all of these other historians, they said they were speaking Mishnaic Hebrew in the Holy Land. Why do you think that Mashiach would have opened up the scroll of Isaiah, reading Isaiah 61, and would have read it in Aramaic? Or do you think he preached in the temple in Jerusalem in Aramaic? Or that he preached in the synagogues in Aramaic? Of course not. And you have ample evidence of that because Pilate didn't put it up in Aramaic. He put it up in Latin, Greek, and Hebrew. And he put up Yahusha, the Netzari of Nazareth, the Nazarene, and King of the Yahudim. Now that's what was put up, right? Now, again, if you going on to read in John further, chapter 19, verse 20. This title was then read by many of the Yahudim, for the place where Yahusha was crucified was near to the city. And it was written in Ivrit, that is to say Hebrew, and Yavani, that is to say Greek, and Latin. There's no Aramaic there. Then the chief priest of the Yahudim said to Pilate, write not in the king of the Yahudim, but he said, look, but that he said, I am the king of the Yahudim. And Pilate answered and said, what I have written, I have written. Now, let's take a look. What he wrote in Latin is, the acronym is INRI. Jesus Nazarenus Rex Iadorum. Iadeorum. That is to say, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. In Greek, he wrote Jesus Nazarios Basilius Laudaius. Or, excuse me, Iudaius. Jesus Nazareus Basilius Iudaius. Now you see here that you see this idea of Jesus, what we say is Yahusha, and then they say Iudaius for Jews. Iudaius for Jews, okay? So you have this idea that the Yod He Vav, which is what is, Judah, Yod He Vav Dalet He, Yahudah. You have this idea of the Yod He Vav being or Iodaios, the Jews. Jesus Iodaios. It tells you that it was a Yod He Vav that appeared in the name of Jesus in the Hebrew. So what you see in the Greek is you see this acronym INBI, Jesus Nazarios Basilius Iodeus. In the Latin, Jesus Nazarenus Rex Iudaeorum. Okay? INRI. Greek, INBI. But in the Hebrew, Yahusha Hanetzari Vemelech Hayahudim. And the acronym is Yod He Vav He. Yod He Vav He. Yahuah. So you see that the sign putting up Jesus or Yahusha Hanetzari Vemelech Hayahudim, putting that up in Ivrit or Hebrew on above the cross, made it very clear that in fact, and of course Pilate had no concept that he was putting up the tetragrammaton, the Yod He Vav He, but he did. Again, further evidence that in fact Yahuah is Yahusha HaMashiach in the flesh. And Yahusha says, if you have seen me, you have seen the Father. So this is how we answer those who would criticize Philippians 2:11. We thank Yah, Yada, Toda Rabbah, Yahuah, Tsevaot, Al-Kadosh, Echad, Yisrael, for giving us that phrase to put in this text. And we hope you enjoy it. So thank you for staying with us. Sapphire Moments, I'm Dr. Stphen Pidgeon. We'll see you again.